What you gonna do, brother, when the crypto bull run comes to you? The ticker is SmackDown on Ethereum blockchain, brother. We're the first and only wrestling-themed crypto, and we're bridging wrestling and cryptocurrency to make the most electrifying meme coin in crypto history. Ooh. Meme coins like Doge, Pepe, and Shiba Inu are leading the upcoming bull run, and we got the juice to turn our two passions into the next crypto phenomenon. Join the community at SmackDown.pro. The coin is Stone Cold Rock Cena Macho McMahon SmackDown 10 Inu, and the ticker is SmackDown. Just remember, brother, it's for life.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. It is Sunday, November 12th, 2023, and we are getting a little close now to Survivor Series, as that's only a couple of weeks away, but enjoy it, because after that, we don't have a PLE for 2 months, and after this, it'll be the Royal Rumble, which will come across faster than we think, right? With the holidays coming across the table in just about a month or so, with, well, Christmas anyway, and Thanksgiving here in the United States. Just a couple weeks away. Things will go quickly, and 8 weeks is a long time between PLEs, but we'll get through it. And we've got a lot to cover today, as we've had a lot of interesting evolutions over the last week with WWE. A couple of really big heel turns, and some of them ho-hum. But I think there is promise in at least one of them. So we'll dive into that. We'll talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw. But I want to invite you first to Patreon. The reason is it's ad-free, but also we added a new tier. It's a $3 tier. It's called NXT Plus. NXT is the base level, which is $1 a month. Everything's ad-free. But also, last night I added a NXT Plus tier, which what that gets you is the After Dark show every other week. So it does give you a taste of what the After Dark show is every other week on the NXT Plus side. But if you want the NXT show every week, you got to go to the SmackDown tier, which is the tier above the NXT Plus. So check that out if you want to get into the non-PG side of things with Anthony DeMarco, as we cover we cover wrestling topics, but it's not for the whole family. So that is on Patreon. I really encourage you to go check it out. And over the last couple of days, we've had some new patrons join us. And those new patrons I'd like to give a shout out to. And they are AJS and Zach, Sharon, of course, Yura, I hope I said that right, Jordan, and Darren. Thank you to everybody who has joined us over the last few days. It is much appreciated. So let's talk about the Asuka heel turn, okay? Because that's the last thing we were left with on SmackDown. And, it didn't make sense to me that Asuka was suddenly a babyface to oppose the now ever-growing Damage Control, which is kind of funny, given that all of us, and I can say that with very high confidence, that all of us listening, with everyone within the sound of my voice, wanted Damage Control to be dead, gone, buried, and forever forgotten. And not only did we not get that, we got the group expanding. So we have yet another massive heel faction, because we don't have enough of those on WWE television. I'm being halfway serious. But this feels a little different, like they're actually going to do something with this group. It feels like this group is actually going to achieve something. Now, the group is expanding to a level that I wouldn't go any further. Once you get past like 4 or 5 members, it gets watered down quickly. But that said, you now have so it's Bayley, Dakota Kai, Io Sky. We have the Pirate Princess, which I think they need to get the hell away from, Kairi Sane, and they have now Asuka. Now, Asuka and Kairi Sane had a well-established, well-known actual friendship with one another, and I'm sure that Asuka was elated to have Kairi back on the roster. And so it made sense that really that Asuka did turn heel here. Now, my question is, did Asuka even turn heel? She returned to align herself inexplicably with Charlotte and Bianca, and there was no reason given to that. So she left as a heel for a little while, came back. She shouldn't have turned babyface anyway. That really wasn't a babyface turn. It was just kind of more of the same from Asuka, as she, does her thing with her mist, causes her team to lose, and she joins Damage Control. I keep waiting for Bayley to get turned on here. I actually thought it was a setup on SmackDown to have Bayley get beat down and Bayley turn babyface, which I'm ready for a babyface heel turn with Bayley. I like her throwback to saying that she doesn't give hugs anymore. That was kind of a nice little nice twist, nice reminder of what her character used to be. And I know many of you out there, particularly male fans or younger male fans, are fans of her I guess leg wear. I have to say, even as a married man, her leg wear is distracting. I think she's very keen to the fact that she has a nice figure. I'll leave it there. It's a PG show, but I think she likes to flaunt her assets. Catch my drift? That said, I know I'm suddenly turning into a 17-year-old here. I understand that, but it is something to be said for that. I mean, she's the one who's wearing these outfits she's very self-aware. If you are on TV, if you're on national television, you know how you look, what you should wear to get attention, what you shouldn't. You know what people are looking at. You know what key demos are watching the product that you are on. And it's very obvious that she's trying to get a little bit of attention, and good for her. Okay. Like I'm not like, whatever. I'm just pointing out the fact. She wears it. I observe it and I respond to it. That's all. And she's been doing this for a little while now. So, but that said, Bayley, she feels like she's in transition, or she's about to go through a transition. She's been on the sideline in her own group for a long time. And then when Io became champion, she became more of a focal point. And now she seems to be the leader of this group. I thought the whole group was going to turn on Bayley, which still may happen, but it didn't happen this week on SmackDown. And so we got a heel turn, quote unquote, by Asuka, and she joins this now growing group. Now, when you look at who's going to oppose her, you have Bianca, you have Charlotte, who have, I guess, bonded out of just respect for one another and a common enemy. And then who else? Well, do you think Jade Cargill could be the one to come in? Or is she too busy worrying about what modeling shoot and what clothes she can wear to get the most attention on Instagram? I think that seems to be her focal point. Every time I turn around, and I'm going to continue to say this, and it is what it is, once again, responding to Jade Cargill, who continues to not talk about wrestling, but talk about herself, and talk about her photo shoots, and talk about what she should wear, and what she looks great in, and what she doesn't. Hey, Jade, you understand you may want to talk about wrestling every once in a while. This is not Playboy. This is not Maxim Magazine. This is a wrestling company that people want to see you wrestle in. I understand you're very proud of your physique, and it is impressive, but that's fleeting. That goes by the wayside very quickly if you can't bring it in the ring. So Jade Cargill, who I think should be introduced as a heel, she's already really, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. She is insufferable if you follow her online. Unless you don't care that she just constantly talks about herself and constantly is flaunting up pictures about what she looks good in and what she doesn't and how, she's a queen and all this crap, right? I'd like her to talk about the actual competitive sport she signed a massive contract for, the company that is the largest professional wrestling company in the world. Hey, maybe, I don't know, talk about wrestling every once in a while, talk about your competitors, talk about what you want to accomplish, talk about the history of women's wrestling, how you're happy to be here, how you can't wait to lock up with someone, whatever. But instead, we're treated to this self-serving, narcissistic, constant posting by Jade Cargill, and it is off-putting. And maybe it's by design, and I could be being tricked or manipulated into, well, that's how you're supposed to feel. We're going to introduce her as a heel. And if it is, great. But something tells me they're not going to introduce her as a heel, because as this faction on SmackDown grows, they're going to need bodies to oppose this group. And it very, very well could be one of them being Jade Cargill, who may end up being part of War Games. I imagine that this is what's setting up a women's War Games match. It's my guess. Is since this is a 5-woman group now, you have Charlotte and Bianca, and I'd have to look at the SmackDown roster to see who else could oppose her. But Jade Cargill could be a surprise 5th opponent, and I think that may be a good way to introduce her, so she's not in the spotlight of a one-on-one match. She has a lot of women that she can lean on in the match. It's easier to introduce somebody that way, less pressure too. So I think when it comes down to it, that's probably what's going to happen. They're setting up for a War Games match for the women, and they have all the heels, and they need a lot of baby faces to fill that slot. But I just wanted to finish on the Jade Cargill stuff. And you know what? I may end up liking her in-ring character. I may end up liking what she presents on TV. But if what we're seeing on Instagram and X somehow translates over to the television on WWE, it's going to be insufferable. It's insufferable. I keep saying I'm sorry. I am truly not sorry. This is exactly how I feel. I know many of you are Jade Cargill fans, and yes, her physique is impressive, but if that's all she's got, if she's a one-trick pony of look at how good I look, well, I could rattle off a couple of people that had amazing physiques that did absolutely nothing, nearly nothing. Chris Masters, again, we're talking about the women here, or the men, I understand, but it's the same dynamic. Chris Masters, the masterpiece. Okay, remember him? Some of you do. He had the master lock. That was his claim to fame. He ended up admitting he was on steroids. I'm not saying Jade is, but that's one example of a guy that just looked like $1 million, but just ended up being womp womp. Okay, it happens. So you can't just lean on how you look. Get over yourself. Unless you're a heel, then have at it. But I truly believe this is what she feels about herself. And then they're going to present her as a babyface, and we're all supposed to cheer because, wow, isn't she so muscular for a woman? Wow, she's a big signing from AEW. That's not enough for me. Not nearly. I hope I eat my words because I want to see everyone have their game raised. I want to see great matches. I want to see new characters, compelling stories. But this one scares me. So, all right. Now, speaking of Survivor Series, I know there's a lot of talk about who could be returning at Survivor Series. And this is not a preview and prediction show for Survivor Series. That's going to come in a couple of weeks. But I have to say, there's a lot of talk of CM Punk. That continues to make its rounds as it is in Chicago, I understand. The stage does seem to be set for CM Punk to return there if it happens. I still don't think it will, but we'll talk about that in the coming weeks, but it's making its rounds again that he could be the one to appear in Survivor Series in some form or fashion. But also Randy Orton, who continues to be out there floating around, and I have been predicting his return for the good part of, 15 months? Since May of 2022. So I think that we have 2 big names floating out there that could return. Randy Orton is much more likely, as he's already a contracted wrestler. So we'll talk about that as we move on. But as we have heard, I think Roman Reigns is taking his well-deserved time off until the Royal Rumble. I mean, he's earned it, guys. After all, counting those days is a heavy lift. I mean, to sit there and count the days that you've been champion every day, it's like, oh my God, another day. We have to add another day. Whew, I'm exhausted. I need a break. That feels like where we're at. Okay, so let's get into a little bit more of SmackDown. And again, you guys can take a listen to our SmackDown review that is done by Michael Ritter, who did an excellent job and this week and always does, and John Carrasco, who is his co-host. Sometimes he does it on his own. I'd encourage you guys to go check out the SmackDown review and check out Michael Ritter's podcast, Football Function. Excellent podcast if you're into fantasy football or football at all. We're in the middle of the season, guys. The playoff run is about to start in about 3-4 weeks, and you're not going to want to miss anything they have to say. So check out Football Function. All right. So we did get SmackDown starting off with Kevin Owens coming out. He's in a red, white, and blue tie, okay? And he's at the special guest commentator table. Corey Graves is absent for paternity leave. Him and Carmella introduced, they welcomed a baby boy. And I'm happy for them because from what I understand, they had a miscarriage the first time around. And I know that was devastating for both of them. And, miscarriages are more common than people think. It's something nobody wants to really talk about, but I do feel for them. And I'm glad that they were able to, have a successful go around this time. So, all right. Then we get Rey Mysterio. He's coming out with the rest of the LWO. And he said he would be standing here as U.S. champion if it wasn't for, the brass knucks, which, by the way, if you got slugged that hard from an actual professional athlete like Logan Paul with brass knucks, number one, your face would be shattered, but also you wouldn't be able to probably speak. Your jaw would be wired shut for a while. And I understand Rey Mysterio has a mask, and that even if you were going to put some fake bruising on him, he has a mask, so there's no point. But at least you could be selling it like he can't really talk or something. Am I going overboard on just expecting basic things to be sold? Injuries and things that are done to men and women on these shows are so overlooked and forgotten. And you see somebody get their ass handed to them in 1 week, a chair used on them, or their ankle quote unquote snapped, and they're somehow able to still perform perfectly, but then they sell it a little bit, they tape it up, but they can still somehow perform perfectly. Or they get smashed in the face with brass knucks by a professional boxer, and there's no redeeming, or there's no follow-up to that. I know some of you don't care. It's Rey, and Rey's a legend. We know that. But it's just, I'm asking for basics. Selling is the name of the game with professional wrestling. If you're not able to sell, I can't feel. If I can't feel, I'm not invested. If I'm not invested, I don't watch. And that means I'm not buying your stuff. Pretty easy domino effect to understand there. Anyway, we did get Carlito coming out, though. He pointed out that Santos Escobar had left the brass knucks on the apron, and Rey was blaming the wrong person. That then ensued an argument between Carlito and Santos Escobar, and he left the ring and walked away. Rey chased after him. Carlito was left in the ring with Del Toro and Wild, and then Bobby Lashley came out, and so then we get the actual Bobby Lashley and Carlito match, which was Bobby Lashley beating Carlito in 9 minutes and 39 seconds. The finish of the match was Santos Escobar coming in and fighting off Dawkins and Montez, and then we got Lashley hitting a spear. He got the victory here. Montez Ford did interfere, so Carlito did have that going for him to protect him a bit, that there was interference from Montez Ford. But then after the match, we did get Escobar looking on while the Profits put a beating on Carlito. Rey Mysterio came down and cleared Bobby and Profits from the ring. Mysterio confronted Escobar and shoved him for not intervening, and then he checked on Carlito, and Escobar attacked Rey from behind. And then Rey Mysterio returned with some slaps and punches, and Escobar landed outside on the apron. Rey tried to apologize, but Escobar said it was supposed to be just the two of them and shoved Rey into the ring post. And then Rey landed with his leg trapped between the ring and the ring steps, and Escobar landed a drop kick to the stairs. And he said he loved Rey, and he made him do it because it was supposed to be just the two of them. Zelina Vega comes down in tears and asked Escobar why he did it, and he told her that Rey made him do it. This was a solid segment here. This is, I think, a much better path for Santos Escobar. It gives him personality. Instead of just another, nameless, it's not the right word. He's just another supporter of Rey Mysterio. He's just another face in the LWO. He has a personality now. You know where he lands. You know where he stands. You know what he did last week. You couldn't tell me, probably most of you couldn't tell me what Santos Escobar did last week, but I'll bet you next week you can tell me what he did this week. So he's now turned heel in a heel turn that I think many of us thought was going to come a couple months ago when he faced Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title in a more respectful way. But now it's official, right? He has been excommunicated from the LWO. It may have been that he did indeed purposefully leave those brass knucks for Logan Paul at the Crown Jewel event. And Santos Escobar is a heel. Now, does Santos Escobar have more defectors? Because you have a, 3 or 4 on 1 scenario with the LWO versus Santos. So usually it's the other way around, but I'm sure Santos will find some comrades to bring over. And if you remember Legado del Fantasma? Yeah, I do. I don't know if that's still in the cards, but maybe Zelina defects. Okay, it's possible. Maybe the Legado del Fantasma will be reignited versus the LWO. So, I mean, the LWO is one of the only babyface factions in the entire company. So you can't totally break that group up. You got to have some balance. You can't have just all these heel factions running wild. So, but I do like this. I like the Escobar heel turn. Him and Rey, are going to put on excellent matches. They already have. But this gives Escobar an edge. It gives him a personal vendetta against Rey. It gives you a reason to watch beyond, this is friendly competition. Who's the better wrestler? It's much more interesting when there's personal heat. And now we have it. Okay. So this, by the way, I did like this heel turn. Now, this is the whole, the next segment was the whole Bayley coming out with damage control and saying she has a plan and a vision for Io and Dakota, which is hilarious given that, they didn't do anything for like 8 out of the 12 months that they existed. So she had a pretty bad vision, poorly executed vision, if there was one. So we did get Dragon Lee versus Cedric Alexander. That was next. And we got Dragon Lee beating Cedric Alexander by pinfall. The finish was this. Dragon Lee hit a super kick in the corner. Cedric responded with a Michinoku driver for a near fall. Lee then landed a knee to the face and a float over reverse DDT for the win. They work so well together. They're really pushing Dragon Lee. And I'm okay with that. The problem, as I've said, with any masked luchador, you are always going to be Rey Mysterio light. You will always be compared to Rey Mysterio. That's the problem. You will always and forever live in the shadow of Rey Mysterio. Forever. It just is what it is. I mean, no one's going to probably ever supersede from a luchador standpoint in WWE what Rey Mysterio has meant and done in this company. But Dragon Lee is still, he's a lot of fun to watch. I think what could help is speaking, which needs to happen. And I'm actually glad happened, by the way, with all of the women in Damage Control, between Asuka, between Io Sky, Dakota Kai, which she's obviously, doesn't have an accent, Kairi Sane. It's nice to hear those women, even with full accents that, you kind of have to pay more attention to. You could still derive what they're talking about. Now, why the hell Asuka? I know I'm jumping around a bit. But why Asuka was the only one to just scream and yell as she always does, which is just so annoying. And then just say her stupid line that she's been saying for 8 years, that no one's ready for Asuka, which is, I'd like to see the evidence for that. I mean, what's the evidence for really nobody? Really? Nobody's ready. Yet she has lost to probably every prominent woman on the roster. But again, guys, no one's ready for Asuka. But it was good to see them give the women who can speak English in a way that, you need to pay attention a little bit more, but so what? You can understand what they're saying. The price you're going to pay for some people going, I can't understand their accent, versus actually being able to give them a microphone and get some kind of message out, the benefits outweigh those negatives 4-1. So this was that was nice, but this was a fun match between Cedric and Dragon Lee. A lot of fun. I could have watched this go on a little bit longer. All right, let's take a break for the sponsor of today's episode, and we'll be right back, and we'll start with LA Knight right after this.
What you gonna do, brother, when the crypto bull run comes to you? The ticker is SmackDown on Ethereum blockchain, brother. We're the first and only wrestling-themed crypto, and we're bridging wrestling and cryptocurrency to make the most electrifying meme coin in crypto history. Ooh. Meme coins like Doge, Pepe, and Shiba Inu are leading the upcoming bull run, and we got the juice to turn our two passions into the next crypto phenomenon. Join the community at SmackDown.pro. The coin is Stone Cold Rock Cena Macho McMahon SmackDown 10 Inu, and the ticker is SmackDown. Just remember, brother, it's for life.
All right, let's get into L.A. Knight. Yeah. So he comes out and he said that Crown Jewel didn't go as planned, but stopped short of saying he didn't live up to expectations. He said he got robbed and told Roman Reigns to give Jimmy Uso a raise and a promotion because if he wasn't there, you're looking at a new WWE champion. Knight said he's not going back to the back of the line. He's not done with the bloodline. He claimed it wouldn't be done until he owned them and had the WWE championship. Grayson Waller came out and he said he maybe just wasn't the guy, but he knew someone who was. And Knight called him a kangaroo jackass. Waller asked him if he really thinks he belongs in the ring with Roman, and Knight said the Grayson Waller effect sounds like some kind of STD, and he got dropped by a Saudi movie star at Crown Jewel. And then he said he had a $5 haircut for school pictures, but he's got the feeling he's not allowed within 50 yards of his school. And Knight accused him of having all kinds of big incel energy on X, and that he could have his mom's basement, but you can't take the mom's basement out of him. And he would take all his frustrations out on Waller because of it, and then he interrupted his own catchphrase to hit Waller with the microphone, and then he dumped him out the ringside and poured a bottle of water on him. And so, live crowd loved this, and it seemed to be one of the only things that the crowd cheered for. I mean, the crowd was not a great crowd, kind of a carryover from Saudi Arabia. Like it was not a hot crowd. Sorry, it just wasn't. They didn't really pop for a whole lot of stuff here, but they popped for LA Knight pretty big, about as big of a pop for the night as you could imagine, or that you could come up with for that night. I don't think anybody else got a bigger pop than LA Knight. And I really think that, again, his insults are funny. They're generally pretty witty, and I have no problem with them. I don't want him to stop doing them because he executes well. But he has to get his character to a deeper level than just high school insults. Again, well executed, they are funny, and I think it's a fun part of his persona. But I need more. I need something deeper. I need to know who LA Knight is beyond a witty comeback machine. I need something more. And that's, I think, what's going to hold him back. Do I think he'll get there? Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's been in the business longer than people realize. And this Grayson Waller program was fun. In fact, the match he had with Grayson Waller was a lot of fun too. And Grayson Waller plays a really fun heel. And this 10-minute match, having LA Knight beat Grayson Waller was the right way to proceed. You couldn't have LA Knight lose. Jimmy Uso did challenge LA Knight to a match next week. So LA Knight and Jimmy Uso is happening next week. So he's still involved with the bloodline. But that doesn't mean automatically he's involved with Roman. I think that spot is now going to be reserved for, AJ Styles, who still has yet to come back from injury. We still have a Randy Orton out there, possibly. And, of course, the Cody Rhodes factor that is probably on the docket for WrestleMania 40. So LA Knight beating Grayson Waller in 10 minutes and 40 seconds here was the right move. And it wasn't... the match was fine. I think it was good. I didn't think it was anything... There was nothing wrong with the match. And I think that as they continue to work with one another, will get better. So the one thing, too, I didn't mention yet, Kevin Owens on commentary. What's happening? I don't mind Kevin Owens out there. He's good on the mic. Putting a microphone in front of him is never going to be a mistake. But he's gone from main eventing WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin to commentary? Why? You can't find something for Kevin Owens to do? Now, I know he got involved a little bit later on here, and I understand that. But, all right, let's continue. So, we then got a reminder of John Cena's debut from 2002, which is always fun to watch. Then Theory and Waller get in Owens' face, and they slapped him and dumped water on his head. And the deal was that Owens couldn't put his hands on anybody or he'd get suspended. But he said, he's just gonna get suspended. He doesn't care. And he smacked around Theory, and he tried to hit a stunner, but he escaped. And then Waller tried to sneak attack, but got a stunner instead. Stunner is so much fun to watch. I mean, the stunner never gets old. So I don't know why. Here's the thing. I don't know what Kevin Owens is doing on commentary, number one. When you have a star of his caliber, you can't find something for him to do or someone for him to work with. He's entertaining, but really? Also, the idea that Kevin Owens can't put his hands on anyone else, well, it would be in self-defense in this case. The old, remember when Austin was the co-GM and then eventually the sheriff, he had to be physically provoked? And that's been the case for a lot of different storylines, not just when Austin was GM 20 years ago. But if you're physically provoked, I mean, that's just self-defense. You're just retaliating. You're not initiating. So this would make no sense to me if Kevin Owens is suspended. But that was the idea. So maybe that's the story they're going with. They want to get him suspended. They want him off TV for some reason. That's maybe where they're going. Okay. Okay, Bianca, Asuka, and Charlotte versus Bayley, Io, and Kairi. So this match was 8 minutes and 32 seconds. This actually ended in a no contest. And the finish of this was Kairi pulling Charlotte off the apron, tossing Charlotte into the ring steps. Bayley pulled on Bianca's hair to prevent a tag, but she hit a spine buster. Bianca then reached for Asuka, and Asuka pulled her hand back and then sprayed mist in the face of Bianca. And then she gave her a kick to the head and joined the group of Kairi, Io, and Bayley. So, this seems to me, again, as I said, a Survivor Series War Games match setup, which is fine, but there needs to be a babyface retort here. Now, I don't know, again, who the babyface side outside of potentially Jade Cargill this could be. I don't imagine that, there's anybody that's going to surprise us that would join this group. Maybe it'll be, I'd say Nikki Cross, but isn't she on Raw just staring off into the abyss? So, yeah, that's what this is really setting up for. So there can be a women's War Games match. That's what this is for. That's it. But also, Asuka as a babyface or as a heel is more fun. I just have to say that. All right, now on to Monday Night Raw. As a reminder of what happened, we did get a Undisputed Tag Team Championship non-title match. The champions of Damian and Finn took on Kofi and Xavier. They beat them pretty quickly, if you remember that, in 9 minutes. Shinsuke versus Akira Tozawa was it was 2.5 minutes with Shinsuke winning. The next match was Ricochet versus The Miz and Bronson Reed versus Ivar in a fatal 4-way for a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. This ended with Miz winning, even though if you remember from last week, it shouldn't probably have been that way as we had a accidental kick out from Ricochet. And now Miz and Ivar are going to go at it next week or on Monday Night Raw, which originally was supposed to be for the Intercontinental Championship, but they're still having the match even though the stipulation doesn't exist anymore. So they're continuing with the Miz babyface run, or turn, which is pretty much complete at this point. And fine. I've said that last week, he'll be fine as a babyface. He can play it. People are buying into it. And he's talented on the microphone. He's good in the ring. He'll be fine. And it's nice to see Miz in a position that's not just getting his ass kicked every single Miz TV. That is a positive. So, hey, I'm not a particularly a massive Miz fan, as you guys know, but this is something that will revitalize his career for a short time. Go for it. All right. And also that match, by the way, was really good. Ivar is starting to come into his own. Ivar is really starting to feel out his singles run, if you will. Okay. We then got Julius Creed and Brutus Creed versus DIY. And Julius Creed and Brutus Creed beat DIY in 9 minutes. We got a battle royal for the shot at the Women's World Championship, which ended with Zoe Stark winning the battle royal in 16 minutes. So it's going to be Zoe Stark versus Rhea Ripley for the women's world title at Survivor Series. All right, that'll do it for this portion of Weekend Review. Now, I know there were some voicemails from the mailbag so that I didn't get to, and we're going to try to get to all of them. What I will say is this. The mailbag is becoming exceedingly overwhelming, and that's not a bad thing. I appreciate everybody. I'm not telling you or discouraging anybody from calling in or writing in. Please, that's not my message. My message is, though, to shorten things, just so that I can get everything in one show. But also, I know Anthony DeMarco did let you guys know on the After Dark show to write into him. For those of you that are on the Patreon side of things, if you want to write in for for questions directly for him, still email me, but put in the subject for After Dark, or for Anthony. So I know I'll just forward those questions to him, and he'll answer them on his weekly After Dark show. So I wanted to let you guys know that. Yeah, so you can save questions for him, and I'm really doing my best to make sure everybody gets a voice on the show. So I'll do my best to get through as many as I can here. I don't know how many I will, but let's start it off with our voicemails that we didn't get to on the mailbag right now.
WWE Podcast World, this is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your mailbag show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning on another cold, dreary, windy, early Wednesday morning. And before we get to the Veer Mahan Report, now, as all you should know, that we are in the month of November. It's a special time. It's Thanksgiving. It's the holidays coming up. It's football, of course, in full swing with the NFL. But it's none other than also my birthday month. This coming Sunday, your guy, DJ Kuzmo, will be celebrating another birthday. As the saying goes, another trip around the sun. And I thank everybody that's been listening to the Veer Mahan Report show for the past couple of months, for the past couple of years since I've been doing this, and I will continue to do this as long as I have the breath in my body. And I thank God that I'm here to see another birthday this year, and let's see what happens this coming weekend for myself. But anyway, I don't want to continue to go on a little soapbox about my personal life. Let's get to your favorite show to come on every single week on the mailbag, and I'm talking about the Veer Mahan Report. Now, the Veer Mahan Report took place this past Monday night on Monday Night Raw, live from Wills Park, Pennsylvania. That's right, Wills Park, Pennsylvania. And we did not get an appearance of the In this year for the upbeat time, but I did do some research, and this coming Thursday, it was already recorded. This coming Thursday, they are having a match. They already had the match. It was a dark match this past Monday night at Wills Park, Pennsylvania. It was the In this year of my guy Veer Mahan and Sangha going against Noam Dar and Ora Mensah from the Metaphor in NXT. Of course, it was a quick squash match, because I did say that it was a quick match for the In this year, but yet again, they're on WWE main event, and this goes to what I want to say today. So shout out to Mike from Connecticut. You made a valid point last week on the mailbag, talking about how my guys, the In this year, could be in some quality matches against guys like the Viking Raiders. The tag team division is moving very fast on the Monday Night Raw tag team division, and I want to see some matches with my guy, the In this year. I want to see what's going on. Hey, what about none other than the Creed brothers? They're undefeated. They're 2-0. They were arch nemesis to them back in NXT. And why not the In this year and the Creed brothers go head to head as they try to slow down the Creed brothers' momentum? And my guys, the In this year of Veer Mahan, Sangha, and the modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal. But with that being said, this is your guy, DJ Kuzma. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay with my friends. Happy birthday to myself, and peace.
All right, DJ. Yeah, your boys have returned, even if it's not on the stage we wanted. They're on at least WWE television in some capacity, so there is that to look at and hold your hat on. And they're on main event, and I think they're going to start, as you said, making their way back in. And the tag team division is bigger than it's been in a while. I mean, that's not saying a whole lot, given that WWE has never really been a focal point for tag team wrestling. But that said, this is encouraging if you're an In this year fan. Now, as far as in Wilkes-Barre, I think what'd you call it? Bear? I don't know. It's Wilkes-Barre. I'm pretty sure. I'm from upstate New York, but nonetheless, this is a good thing, right? If you're an Indus Sher fan, if you're a tag team wrestling fan, the Indus Sher who had something good going need to get back on television. And yes, so wish you happy, healthy, Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you. But let's continue to our next voicemail.
Hello, Matt. This is Sharon from Israel, and now I'm a part of Patreon, and don't even know how do you say that. I get the honor to be one of the first one in the mailbag show. Finally, it happens. Thank you very much for giving me that honor. And also, after last week, I disappointed you and other people that we didn't do the show together. This Friday, we're gonna do it. I am gonna do it with you no matter what. Even a missile will take my house down, and I will be in the street, and ashes will be all over the place, and sirens and police. I will still do the episode with you. And last week it was crazy. We thought that Lebanon will do a war with Israel as well, and I was a little bit scared and stressed about it. But this time I'm going to have an episode with you no matter what. Yes, I'm really excited about that. About Raw, I gotta say that with what happened about War Games, I expected this. I mean, didn't we all expected that it will be War Games between Judgment Day and Cody and Jay and Zayn and Rollins a month ago? So it really felt that it was okay, we know this is what's going to happen. So it was weird for me. Second of all, this thing means that we won't have a major championship match at Survivor Series. Roman Reigns will be absent again, who knows where or what or why. And Rollins will be part of the War Games. So we don't have a major championship match in this Survivor Series match. So it's weird. Also, now I'm not that sure that we are going to have Raw Nuggets versus SmackDown in Survivor Series. Pay attention that the Survivor Series symbol this time is red and blue. So this means it will be Raw versus SmackDown, but there is an Intercontinental Championship match and World Heavyweight Women's Championship match. And last thing, I want you to pay attention to the poster of Survivor Series, and then you will see Army Dust. This is Cody with his faces painted in army colors like green and black, and it really reminded me Stardust. It really reminded me how much I hate Cody and how much he has no reason to be in the spot he is. But okay, so we are for the time for War Games, and Army Dust will be the star of it, and we will see what will happen. So have a good one, Matt. We'll speak on Friday, and bye.
All right, Sharon, good to hear from you, and good thing that you kept your word. We were able to record our show, as everyone heard. We posted that on Friday, a special episode of Sharon from Israel, and that was a fun conversation. Talk a little bit of life, a little bit of politics, but also wrestling, of course. And that was a fun show. If you want to check that out, it's on our feed. Now, I'm going to hold you to it. If I hear the the rockets going off, if I hear the sirens, I'm going to expect you to not blink an eye and just continue. I mean, that's it. You've told me what your level of commitment is to the show. You can't go back now. Your house is on fire. Too bad. You told me you're going to be on the show. I'm holding you to it. If I hear your buildings collapsing around you, just, you find a way to stay connected. I mean, that's the priority. This show is priority. But okay, in all seriousness, I saw the whole Cody advertisement. He's got war paint on him. I mean, yeah, he's now a politician, a war general. I mean, he is a man of many faces, and I am all for, I'm all for marketing and promotion, but that is just funny. I mean, he's here to make us happy. So maybe by painting his face, it makes some people happy. I don't know. And I don't know if it is Raw versus SmackDown. They didn't advertise it like that. I don't think that's the way they're going, given that both War Games teams for the men are on Raw. So I don't think they can do that. There may be some interpromotional matches on the side that are singles matches, but it doesn't look like it's Raw versus SmackDown, which is always a plus. I never want Raw versus SmackDown ever again, unless there's some massive stipulation or something that makes sense, or somehow the rivalry comes together organically, and it's not driven by the calendar. That all of a sudden, come November, I have to hate you, you have to hate me because you're a different color than I am. You're blue, I'm red. I'm supposed to hate you. Okay, so stupid. But anyway, thanks, Sharon. We'll get to our next voicemail right now.
Hey, Matt, Brad in Florida, and I know when this is played, it'll be Wednesday, and it will be way after Crown Jewel, but just wanted to say something about Crown Jewel or a couple things. Number one, very, very odd with the propaganda, more so than any other Crown Jewel show in the past that I've found. Talking about the Falcon is the bird of this marvelous, majestic kingdom of Saudi Arabia, all this stuff. I found it to be a little bit over the top, personally, with the just the praising of the kingdom, the commercials that weren't even commercials. They were just inserted into the pay-per-view about the airline and how wonderful that random airline is. It wasn't Emirates. It was something else, but how it's like the best airline, and Bailey loves going on that airline, and LA Knight loves it, and whatever. But the fans were the worst part about it, because they were so bizarre. They hardly cheered during matches, even for like false finishes or anything like that. They did not cheer at all. They were just very, very weird. I mean, they cheered for certain things like the kicks from LA Knight and different things like that, but they really did not cheer for the wrestling matches themselves when they were going on. I just thought the crowd was a big downer. I thought they sucked. I thought the pay-per-view was very average, probably one of the worst that we've seen since Triple H is in charge. And, yeah, man, that's about it. I look forward to everything that's coming up with Survivor Series and the Rumble and all that, but yeah, this one for me did not hit the mark. It was mainly because of the fans and the crowd reaction and everything like that, but a lot of the propaganda too. See you soon, man. Talk to you.
Hey, Brad. Well, welcome back to the show. Yeah, I'm with you. This show was underwhelming, and I know we're doing this on a Sunday now, but a week later. That said, the show did not hit for me very, very, very well. And the thing is, too, Crown Jewel seems to have this black cloud over it. There's been so many bad things that have happened at Crown Jewel or Saudi events that it's almost par for the course. And then you add the fact that, as you said, that the Saudi crowd was underwhelming, to say the least. They were non-existent during the women's matches. You put all that together on top of the fact that, some of the outcomes weren't what they probably should have been or whatever. And you have the recipe for a very average event. And I didn't think it was the worst, but I did think it was one that didn't actually follow the typical outcome of Triple H pay-per-views, where we come out going, wow, the show was amazing, it over-delivered. This one doesn't seem to have followed that script. It seems to be the outlier, but so does every other Saudi event. Every other Saudi event, it doesn't have a lot of good feelings towards for fans, and for a number of reasons, not just because of the unbelievably crazy things that have happened at Saudi events with Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement, Goldberg nearly dying, Titus World slide, the list goes on. You also add in the propaganda that WWE is being forced or strong-handed into putting on their shows, and it's it's not it doesn't really provide fans with a fun experience that are watching at home, knowing that this is all forced propaganda for Saudi Arabia. And listen, not diving too deep into Saudi Arabia, just do a little Google search yourself about how some of the human rights violations that they've had. Now, look, the United States is no angel, but they're a little bit ahead in some of the women's rights and things like that. And we're supposed to celebrate that they decided a few years ago to finally let women have a wrestling match, as if that's some kind of accomplishment or some kind of milestone that should have happened, hundreds of years ago. And I know that they're paying WWE exorbitant amounts of money to be there. And WWE is going to do their bidding about talking about how great the airline is. And they're using WWE as a platform to promote how they want the rest of the world to view their country and their city of Riyadh, right? That's what that is. And we have those commercials over here in the United States. Come to Florida, come to New York, come, California, wherever. And we have those, but it's different when you see a foreign country using a United States-based country to promote and try to warp our sense of what Saudi Arabia is, and try to use WWE wrestlers to as vehicles for us to believe that, oh my God, the airlines are great, the cities are great, everything's so great, what a great, everything's perfect. That's propaganda. That's all it is. That's the definition of propaganda. Propaganda is certainly not a new concept, in modern history at all. In fact, it's probably one of the oldest concepts ever developed by humankind is propaganda. So that's all it is. And, I'm sure they were sitting there biting their tongues as best they could about how, oh my God, it's my favorite airline. They do this crap every single time they go to Saudi Arabia because I think they are legally obligated per the contract with Saudi Arabia to provide such propaganda, whether they talk about the cities or the women's rights or the pollution levels, or who the hell knows. Take a little bit of a gander at previous events and you'll see similar pieces. So we just have to unfortunately live with it as fans, or just don't watch it. That's the other option. Thanks, Brad.
This is the hardcore icon, just incredible, ECW original and world's heavyweight champion. I want to say happy birthday to our UK guy for WrestleMagic, King Scully. Happy birthday, brother, and many, many more ahead.
All right. Well, Justin, awesome to hear you, and I'm glad that you are popping in here on the mailbag in a kind of a cameo appearance. And happy birthday to King Scully. I don't know how old you are, man, but I'm going to guess somewhere in my male 18 to 40 demo. I really have no idea how old you are, but I'm going to take a stab at, a range of about 22 years. I got to be right in one of those respects. So, but thank you, Justin. Good to hear you. And to King Scully, happy birthday. All right. Keep the train rolling.
Hey, this is ECW original and hardcore icon, just incredible. And I want to give a very special birthday wish and happy birthday to one of my good friends from WrestleMagic, Michael Gross. Michael, I love you with all my heart, brother, and for many, many years of success and happiness, you're the best. Happy birthday, my brother.
All right, well, a 2-for-1. Mr. Just Incredible. We have 2 birthdays, of which I probably should have been aware of on my own team, right? This is embarrassing. But thank you, Justin, for doing the work that I probably should have done. And happy birthday to Michael Gross. Usually I give Facebook the assignment of allowing me to know whose birthday it is. I mean, that's how I know what's going on with anything. As far as like personal events, sometimes I'd be like, oh, it's one of my best friends' birthdays. I don't know. The thing is, when I get older, I don't really even pay attention to my own birthday. When we're younger, it seems to be more of a celebration. And really, this is more of just, and I'm not trying to devalue birthdays at all. Look, it is certainly something that we should celebrate. You know, you made it another year around the sun, and everybody gets kind of their own day to have that, and that's fine. But it's really an anniversary of your birthday, because your real birthday is obviously the day you were born. You don't have more than one birthday. So it's really happy anniversary of your birthday is really the technical correct term. So I've now ruined birthdays for everybody. But all right, let's continue.
Alex, the French guy here. Your European champion, European friend, you name it. I wanted to tell you guys, if you are attending Bash in Berlin, in Germany, next August, I think it's 31 of August 2024. Comments on Patreon or Alex the French guy on the Discord chat, on Discord server, and maybe we meet there in Berlin, because I will be attending this pay-per-view. I know it's far away, but I'm staying already just to make sure everybody is attending or not. People from Europe or you name it. Just a quick note. I am tired, so tired of the freaking ending of Monday Night Raw. Since 6 months, it's the same old, you name it, you know what I mean. It's the Judgment Day having a face-off against Sami Zayn, KO, or Jey Uso now, Cody Rhodes. Ah, man, this is too much. This is 6 months. We need to get over this Judgment Day versus the face of Raw, the faces of Raw. This is getting to a point where it's getting ridiculous. Where is the direction? Seth Rollins saying that we need to end Judgment Day. Why the hell do you want to do this? What's the reason? The only thing that that I'm very, very happy about is Drew McIntyre during this time on Raw, and is slowly getting to a point where he's getting heel, but they also don't need to, take months to turn him heel before the iron gets colder. That's it for me for this week. Have a nice week, guys.
Well, Mr. European Champion, Alex the French guy, making his weekly appearance on the mailbag. Thank you for joining us here. Now, yeah, though Judgment Day, it seems to be them facing off against whoever the person of that month is. And look, I like the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day have overachieved in my estimation after the debacle of getting rid of Edge, which I thought would be a total failure, and it wasn't, and I'm glad. And I think there's a lot of mileage left to be had with the Judgment Day. I think we haven't seen all the combinations of their opponents yet. But we're going to continue to see baby faces come out and try to oppose them. And you're going to see a lot more of them, given that War Games is coming up in a couple of weeks. And you have a 5-on-5 scenario, and the Judgment Day still has somebody to be found, and so does Team Cody or Team Seth, whatever it may be. Now, the interesting dynamic is going to be Seth and Cody. How do they coexist? Can they coexist? Do they have a moment? I'm sure they do. Does Drew come in? Does Drew join Team Cody, or does he join Team Judgment Day at the last second to oppose the team, or does he turn on Cody as after being a part of the team? Or does Randy Orton come in? Does CM Punk? I mean, there's so many weird combinations, but there's still a guy missing from both sides. So that means we still have 2 slots to be filled, and you're going to see a lot more of that face-off at the end of Raw that you love so much. That's going to be, the next couple weeks moving forward. Now, the question is, what do they do after that? I don't know. You would think that they would have a December PLE to keep things in check so that they don't feel they have to write 8 shows between now and Rumble. Like that they could actually have a kind of a stopgap, a milestone, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to be a blowaway PLE, but people loved the day one from what I understand. I didn't hear anything bad about the day one event, January 1st, that they did a couple of times. You could do December to Remember. I mean, if you want to get hokey. Really, it doesn't matter to me. I don't understand why they don't do it. Not everyone is shopping every second of the day in December. I mean, what is the logic here? In fact, people, I think, are more engaged when the weather turns colder. They're more engaged in their screens than ever before. There's less activities going on outside. People are more inclined to actually spend money because they're already in the habit of doing that because it's this holiday season. I don't follow the logic here. Now, is it the time to bring about some major storyline? I don't know. That's another argument to be made, because the typical pattern has been that they do this after January. Like, the first Raw after the new year is usually the one that's like, let's get going. Here we go. WrestleMania season's here. So sure, you can kind of put it on autopilot, do some interesting things, combinations of things. And yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Not everyone's on vacation the whole month of December. Okay. Like, there are holidays in other months that they don't stop doing PLEs for. 4th of July. I mean, heck, we just had Veterans Day, Memorial Day. Like, I just don't get it. But, all right. Let's keep it going. Thanks, Alex, and I hope all's well.
It's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted just to talk about the, I guess, War Games in general as a whole. I just think Raw as a whole in general. War Games is going to be fun. I enjoyed War Games last year. I kind of enjoyed the War Games from the time in NXT when they had it in NXT, but I thought last year was pretty good. At least the women's was good. And for this year with the men on the Raw side, I think it's on paper looks great. See what happens on SmackDown on Friday, and hope see if they're gonna have combinations with EO and the returning Kairi Sane, which is cool to see her back, and with Bayley's, all that stuff, and what to do with Bianca and Charlotte and all that stuff. Seems to add a women's War Games match on the SmackDown side, but at least for the Raw side, I think I enjoy it a lot on paper. And I just think this in general for Raw as a whole, I just think it's 10 times better than SmackDown. SmackDown is fine, but for me, Raw is my show. I don't know if it's because a lot of, doing great stuff with the Judgment Day. Finn Balor, Damian Priest, I enjoy them as tag team champions. Seth Rollins is doing great work as World Heavyweight Champion. I feel like they're doing great stuff with Drew McIntyre, having now Xia Li and Becky Lynch in the feud. Rhea Ripley is now facing is now in the women's division finally going to face Zoe Stark at Survivor Series. So I think there's a lot to like on Raw than there is on SmackDown, which is crazy for me to say because years ago I would have said Raw was terrible, but now Raw, since that became an adult anyway, has been more entertaining to watch, at least especially this year. But that's my quick thoughts of Raw in general and Survivor Series as a whole. Looking forward to Survivor Series, should be fun, but that's just my quick takes on that, but that's the additional call. Bye.
All right, Kyle, good to hear from you. And hey, it's good. I'm glad you're so happy with the Raw side of things, and you're excited about Survivor Series. And I mean that seriously. I'm not making fun of you in any way. We should be excited about the events. That's the goal. We want to be, and it doesn't always happen. A lot of times we go in with high expectations. We are excited, and they let us down. Other times we go in with, let's see what happens, and they blow us away. Yeah, I try to go in with a level head, and it's not always easy to do, but I'm glad you're excited about Survivor Series because the War Games match, I'll give it this. As much as the rules make absolutely no sense, and I don't buy into one team has an advantage, which is absolute nonsense as well, and nobody can actually be eliminated, and yet the match starts, but it doesn't start until everyone's in the ring, but then that doesn't mean there's an advantage because you can't eliminate anybody, to all that stuff, which is just total nonsense. I'm with you, though, that the match is interesting because visually, it's a lot of fun. Visually, you have 2 rings, 2 cages, 10 guys. They're put in at regular intervals. The one team does have quote unquote an advantage, which again means nothing because they don't have the ability to eliminate anybody. They can just beat somebody into oblivion. But at the end of the day, everyone's standing there 5-on-5 anyway. Anyway, so yes, it is fun. And it's a long form match, but it's one that presents itself in a way that you can create a lot of stories, and you can start a lot of stories within those matches. I remember when Sammy turned on KO, or you weren't sure what he was going to do, and he ended up haluva kicking Kevin Owens in the previous War Games match last year. So, what about, as I said, for this year? It's going to be fun. What if a Cody and Seth moment is teased? I think that's absolutely possible, although I think Drew McIntyre is going to have a lot to say in this match. I actually think Drew is going to cost, early prediction, Team Rollins and or Cody, whoever you want to label it, the match, and turn finally full heel. That's my guess, but I could be wrong. But Drew will be involved, and it just presents itself a lot of opportunity. And I absolutely understand. I get it. I absolutely get it. So cool. I'm glad you're excited, Kyle. All right. Final voicemail for this evening. Let's keep it going.
Hey, I'm Matt and the WWE Podcast family. I'm going to call about a wrestling related thing next week because I'm at work right now and I'm pretty busy. But I just had to come on here and say something to everyone who's a fan of the series. While I was on my break, I literally had to pinch myself. To make sure I wasn't screaming. I'm not even kidding. All I'm going to say is, go on Google GTA 6, and let me know what you find. That's all.
All right. Hey, Kyle, listen. I'm glad you brought it up here. For those of us that are wrestling fans, there's a majority of us that probably are aware or may not be about the impending, probably biggest video game in the history of our lives coming up. That doesn't mean it's your favorite or will be your favorite or you even care, but it's just from a download, purchase, and dollar standpoint, it will be the biggest, most successful game ever in the history of humanity. And that's not an overstatement. That's not an oversell. That's just fact. And that is GTA 6, Grand Theft Auto 6. It has been officially confirmed by Rockstar that they are releasing the trailer in the first week of early December, which leads you to believe in first week of December. So we are about 3 weeks away from the first trailer of GTA 6 being dropped. Now, when does that mean the game's released? Probably, I would imagine, mid-2024 or even Christmas of 2024. I think they probably have another 6 to 12 months of development to go. But that is going to be... You guys want to be talking about getting infiltrated and inundated with something on your feed. A lot of times it's something political or something going on in Israel or something going on locally or with Biden or with whatever local politics you have or a weather event or whatever the case is, some tragedy and news story in your area. No. Everything in about 3 weeks, no matter who you are, your news feed, everything trending is going to be GTA 6. It really possibly may break the internet. So get ready for that. We finally, after 11 years, get a sequel. I mean, it's absurd that it took this long, but GTA 6 is on the way officially. So get ready for that. Thank you, Kyle, for bringing that to all of our attentions and making that the finale of the show. And thank you to everybody who joined us here tonight. And I apologize for the mailbag being fused here with the weekend review. This, as you can tell by the time it takes me to do the voicemails, would have been a 2-hour plus show if I combine this with the actual mailbag on Wednesday. But remember, guys, 2 things. If you want to send Anthony DeMarco specific questions to answer on his side of the Patreon show that he does on the SmackDown tier and above for the After Dark, you can do that. Send them to me as you normally would on the email at mailbag at www.podcast.com and just put in the subject line for Anthony and I'll forward them on to him. But he will only answer them in his show, the After Dark show. That's on Patreon. Okay. So check that out. But also, speaking of Patreon, if you guys want to join us and you want to listen to that After Dark show, you can get a taste of it on the NXT Plus tier. I just created this new tier. I talked about this at the start of the show. It's going to be including this show that Anthony does, the After Dark show, every other week. Okay, so that'll be the NXT Plus. So it's not the NXT. It's not quite SmackDown where you get it every week. That's why it's kind of the in-between tier. So it's a way for you guys to test it out, get a couple shows under your belt, and see if you're like, oh, maybe I want to hear this every week. And then you can go up to the SmackDown tier and hear it every week. So that's what's included in the the NXT Plus tier. that it was just added last night. So check that out, and I want to thank everybody. And if you want to go ad-free, Patreon's the way to go, Apple Podcasts is the way to go, or WWEpodcast.com. Thanks, everybody. I will talk to you tomorrow night with the current state of WWE. Until then, I'll talk to you next time.
What you gonna do, brother, when the crypto bull run comes to you? The ticker is SmackDown on Ethereum blockchain, brother. We're the first and only wrestling-themed crypto, and we're bridging wrestling and cryptocurrency to make the most electrifying meme coin in crypto history. Ooh. Meme coins like Doge, Pepe, and Shiba Inu are leading the upcoming bull run, and we got the juice to turn our two passions into the next crypto phenomenon. Join the community at SmackDown.pro. The coin is Stone Cold Rock Cena Macho McMahon SmackDown 10 Inu, and the ticker is SmackDown. Just remember, brother, it's for life.